The world.
All right, what's the
We're
good word,
here.
y'all? Welcome to the Jets Flight Squad.
Like
Lead me up
squad.
tonight. We got DKB X Jets. Hey, with the
The
gritty.
gritty. The gritty kicking it off.
And we got Gunny Gumby of New York Jets Situation Report in the building. We are definitely glad to have y'all. We're going to have a lot of fun with this. We plan on adding quite a bit to this, so we definitely appreciate all the love, all the support. To kick things off, and then, of course, as always, you guys know I will have all of our stuff in the description for you. Please check out all of the things. Gunny Gumby, Gino from Everything New York Jets. They do a lot of fun stuff. I'm more cut and dry with it. But we got a lot of creative guys on here, a lot of talent. It's going to be a lot of fun. I will kick it off to you guys. If you got some intros or anything you want to kick us off with before we dive into it.
I mean, yeah, man, I'm excited, man. We've been talking about this, about a couple of months now. We've been planning this out, trying to get this thing situated. I think it's awesome, man. Like, we want to make sure we brought a quality, authentic product to subscribers, viewers, etc., man. And y'all been awesome. Y'all taught me a lot just working with you guys in the process of trying to get this channel put together, this segment put together. So glad to finally be here. I think that a lot of our subscribers are going to really appreciate this. And I mean, can it get any worse than just in here talking Jets football, man? Just hanging out with the boys. Glad to be here, man. Thanks for the invite, boys.
Yeah, no doubt. I think this is one of the best things that have come out of us linking up these last couple months for sure.
And honestly, it started out with me and you, Banks. I'm the one thought it. You're the one that said it. And then we brought Gunny, pitched it to him, and now here we are. We got great 3 football minds in one podcast and change the world every week for Jets content, man. Jets community is strong. We're the best in the NFL, baby. We're going to keep growing.
Facts, yo.
Facts.
We end up on the Jets flight squad or something one day. We're gonna make it happen. We'll make it happen. But yeah, this first week with us diving off into things, we mentioned, I don't want to say keeping things light, but we wanted to kind of run through all the news, all the rumor stuff from recent, and then kind of break down a little bit this week 5 matchup against the Dolphins. So I did have an interesting one, kind of a hot topic from this recent week. Jeff Ulbrich. Screens. I know his name's hot right now, right? So there's not a report that came out, but there's an article I was reading through, and he was trying to clarify his comments about Quinton Williams and him asked on the sideline, right? And you know what? It's funny because I feel like, when we dive into our emotions and stuff, we level 10 things, right? So everybody immediately turned against Jeff Ulbrich, and he actually put out a respectable job this last week, right?
He did.
He looked like the defensive line rotation was working. So in the article, to sum it up, he didn't backtrack on his comments, which is something I find interesting, and it's something that I fully end up respecting from people that kind of take on that side of the argument. He didn't backtrack anything. He essentially said that he apologized if his comments were taken in any kind of negative light, but all that he meant was that he was highlighting and talking up his defensive line rotation and how it can work. And then we had Sheldon Rankins, who chimed in on a separate note that mentioned he's bought into this defensive line rotation and how effective it can be, because you might not play 8 to 9 consistent snaps in a row during a series, but if you're playing 4 to 6, you're able to go out there and be explosive 100% of the time. No argument. So I wanted to go around, to the first part and see what your guys' thoughts are in general about Jeff Ulbrich and just kind of everything he believes in terms of his scheme. What you guys feel like he's done with this recent performance has kind of been different from what we've seen the first 3 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, all right. I mean, I'll kick it off. So Jeff Ulbrich right now, I think, of our coaches, he's probably the biggest question mark, right? And I think a lot of static gets put on Coach Saleh as being like, hey, you're a defensive-minded coach, and this defense sucks, blah, blah, blah. But Coach Saleh has taken the CEO approach to overseeing this team. And I got to respect that, because he's put the pieces, the individuals in place that he believes can get the job done. I don't think a lot of us are complaining about Coach LaFleur. Like, we're actually all excited about what we've seen from him. Ulbrich has been pretty much the guy that I think the majority of us can unanimously be like, yo, what the heck is he doing? Like, this is insane. Like, we're getting torched. But when you actually like kind of kick back and watch what they've done in terms of the positives, right? We have two of the best defensive backs in the NFL right now. People don't give it. You can't just hate on Coach Ulbrich and not give credit where credit is due. Yo, we have a rookie in Jermaine Johnson, in Sauce Gardner, in Michael Clemens, who are all right now considered to be top in terms of this rookie class. Rookies only get coached up by coaches. They don't come into the NFL having NFL freaking like, mentality. They got to be coached up. And those guys have played extremely well. Quinton Williams, I'm not going to lie to you, man, look like he's unguardable. He's throwing grown men around like they ain't nothing. And I think to an extent, we've got to at least appreciate and give credit where credit is due. Now, I'll tell you this. The fact of the matter is the Jets defense hasn't been that bad, right? We've lost some games. But you look at what we did against the Baltimore Ravens week 1, ain't nobody else done that thus far. They've been able to run wild and score points on everybody else they played thus far, right? The Cleveland Browns, that until they played us, had the number 1 rushing attack in the league. Yes, Nick Chubb 8, he got his. But in terms of production, in terms of what he could have gotten, we kind of held him in check. So we're seeing the end stat because we're Jets fans. We're passionate. And we're also – I still believe that we're one of the most intelligent fan bases on the planet. And when we see something that's wrong, we all have solutions because we're like, boom, hey, this team did this 3 years ago and it worked. Why aren't we doing that? And we're able to analyze and break that down to a game. But I got to admit, man, Ulbrich right now is probably the most hated coach on the staff right now just because somebody's got to get the blames for us losing those 2 games. But in all actuality, I don't know how mad we can be about being a middle-of-the-pack defense right now. The New York Jets are the 14th ranked defense, I believe it was. That just came out. It was 14th or 16th, one of the two. I know it's one 14th. Of the even numbers. 14th? 14th ranked defense. And I know freaking 3 months ago, everybody and their mom was saying, like, hey, if the Jets can just go from 32 to middle-of-the-pack, we're happy. And we're there. We're literally where we all said several months back we'd be happy with. But we're Jets fans, man. We're passionate. We lost 2 games that we do believe if the defense had shown up, we could have done better, which is true. But we've also won 2 games because the defense had turnovers and they stopped freaking the likes of a freaking Nick Chubb and they were able to go. I think right now, I when I did see the freaking remark about, oh, Quinton Williams is getting gassed, I was guilty. I was like, what the, bro? I roasted the heck out of Ulbrich. Thinking to myself, like, so you're saying it's a conditioning problem. So the reason why we don't got our best defensive player out in the field is because he's not conditioned. So, of course, I went off on it. And I will say this. I do appreciate the fact that Coach Saleh came out, defended his freaking coach. Coach Ulbrich, like you just said, didn't backpedal. He pretty much stuck to his guns and then kind of elaborated as to what he meant. I still think it's dumb. I still think that Q should only come out of the games if Q needs to come out of the games. The dude right now is wrecking interior freaking offensive lines. Why the hell we want to pull him out of a game? So I'm not a big believer in the whole light rotation thing, but we just saw a really, really good performance from our defense this past week. So again, it's just starting to go ahead and all come together. Very, very possible. We'll know more this freaking Sunday against the Miami Dolphins.
Facts. How about you, Gino?
Well, let's just be honest, boys. I think it's one of those things where I'm gonna say some good things. I'm gonna say some bad things. First off, hell no, the rotation's not that great. I mean, you gotta stick with the hot hand. Quinton's fighting for a contract this year. He's a top 5 in his position right now. He wants to be in there every chance you get. You saw this boy go from the middle to the right, facing the quarterback last week. That's how much he's trying to get a contract. And why are we putting JFM on the left side? Stick him right in the middle. JJ has been one of the best rookies on defense. Put Clemens in.
The best defensive end. Sorry, I had to correct you. The best defensive end, the best edge of this draft class is JJ. Sorry about that. Had to go ahead and elaborate.
Gunny, don't do that again.
I got you.
I don't care. I think, but if you're gonna keep switching them out, like, okay, I get that Salah is defending his boy. Like, I get that. That's cool. That's what you want to see from a head coach. But the thing about it is, stop trying to switch things around and maneuver, and stick with the people that you know that can get the job done. We have seen the last 4 weeks who can get the job done. It's just they keep switching them in and out. They want to keep them fresh. Like, okay, whatever. But the thing about it is, stop. Just don't. Just don't. Last week, I will give this to Coach Ulbrich. He stuck to his guns, like Gunny said, and it worked out with Joyner. It worked out with Whitehead. But Sauce did well. Reed did well. Carter, I mean, who would have thought Carter would have done this well? I know people still want Bryce Hall. They still want to change him and out. I get that. And then Harris coming in the linebacker position, like, I understand. But if we can go into this weekend, because, I mean, we all know the Dolphins are pretty banged up. They are very banged up right now. So we can continue what we were going into. I think we could be good. But I'm not a fan of the switching up.
I think okay, it sounds like obviously I'm probably the highest on the rotation, but to the degree that the coaching staff is able to make changes that make sense, right? So I'm on board. Quinton Williams, minimal. So I think one of the stats that I've seen was that I can't remember. It's probably changed from my video, but he was the 36th ranked defensive tackle in snaps, although he's generally top 10 in every other major.
Yep.
Exactly. So what that meant was he was below players like DeForest Buckner, Eric Armstead, Fletcher Cox. Like, a lot of these either older guys or guys that have, proven they should be on the field for at least 80% of their team snaps. And I think the person that was right above him was DeForest Buckner, and he's beating him by like 13 to 15 snaps a game. So that makes absolutely zero sense to me, considering what we've seen. So for a guy like Quinton, I say that doesn't apply. He's one of your best players, if not the best player outside of AVT on the team. Yep. Let him go after it. He'll let you know if he needs a break, or if you see he's quote unquote gas, take him out. Otherwise, you tinker with the rest of the pieces. Move JFM back inside. See if he still has the performance he had last year.
Yep.
I'm okay with them mixing and matching Jacob Martin and Vinny Curry if he comes back and he's active. And Bryce Huff. I do think Bryce Huff should essentially be getting starting level snaps.
Facts.
He's probably not, though.
Come in instantly on your first active game from what you did during preseason.
Makes an impact.
Criminal. He's tied with Quinton Williams, if I remember, for pressures.
Yes.
Right?
Pressures. Yeah. That's correct.
Yeah, but he's not, though. They're probably gonna inactive him again even when Curry comes back.
It's so ridiculous. Like, I'm glad you brought it up, DK, because it makes no sense. He's got the fastest get off of any of our edge rushers. I get it.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the strength to go ahead and be an every down guy. He's not going to be an impact in the run game. I understand that. But in obvious passing downs, why the heck is this dude not on the field consistently? He's the fastest edge rusher we have on the roster. Like that makes me question the logic. That makes you question the logic. I don't understand it.
Yeah, I mean, so like when I look at it, I try to come at it from all angles. I'm not a coach, but I try to make it make sense, right? The conversation about him not being active on games where we're facing pure run-heavy offenses, I can get it. I can get on board with that. I don't like it. I'm not saying I have to love it, but I can understand it. Can he still earn some snaps against those kind of teams? I would say yes, right? But if we wanted to put like an order to it, Quinton Williams is leading the way. I would say JFM should be second in snaps. Then I would say Bryce Huff, and I will argue that to death against anybody. And this is kind of avoiding positions, but in terms of who needs to be in our hierarchy, Quinton, JFM, Bryce. I would say at this point, Jermaine Johnson is giving us as much production as anybody else.
Has to be JJ. Yep.
Then I would probably say Jacob, and then
Martin,
and then maybe everybody else.
100%. Like, agree with you all the way down.
But if Clemens, but they kept the bring Clemens in there,
yeah,
then he would have triumphed at least Jermaine or JFM, because we saw what he did in preseason. I think if they keep giving him more of a chance, I think Clemens could top at least a couple.
Yeah, I'm fully on board with that too. And with that kind of lineup with the hierarchy we just mentioned, I think what that also does is everybody in that hierarchy outside of Quinton Williams plays inside and outside. So you can't make the excuse that, okay, we need more run efficiency now or we need more pass rushing specialists. If it's pass rush, your whole lineup can go out there and eat. If it's run defense, you can mix that up however you want. Put Clemens inside, sit him next to Quinton. If Quinton needs to be subbed out, put JFM and Clemens inside. Put Jermaine and put Huff on the outside. So, like, there's a lot you can do with that. There's absolutely a lot.
Facts.
But it's also like what I don't know how you guys feel about Lawson, but I think Lawson needs to wake up just a little. I understand he's in a tough position coming back from injury, and he had a tough week last week with the penalty. I mean, I get that. But, like, I want to see a little bit more from him because the coaches were holding him back all off, like, OTAs and offseason. Like, I understand you got to protect him. But I just want more or replace him with someone else. I'm not saying he should lose his job. I'm just saying I just want a little bit more.
Is it rust, or do we feel like maybe he's just a guy that gets pressures and he can't hit home?
The thing is this, though, I don't believe that because, like, his last year in freaking Cincinnati, he had, 8 sacks? 8 sacks,
yeah,
right?
64
Still 64%. Yep, pressure rate, like, ridiculous. So he's right now, I think he's 4th in the NFL right now in terms of pressure rate.
Yeah.
And it just seems like he's just not finishing or getting to the quarterback. Now, is it a combination of the quarterback's understanding, like, hey, the guy that I'm most terrified of is freaking Carl Lawson, and they're freaking rolling to the right, make it more difficult for him? Because we're seeing JJ getting to him, right? Everybody on the right side seems to be eating.
Right.
And Carl Lawson, for some reason, has stayed predominantly attacking that left side. And I'm wondering, why aren't we moving him around? Because the right side, the majority of our sacks, believe it or not, have come from the right side pressure. Why aren't we moving Carl Lawson around to go ahead and, at the very least, just get the man the opportunity? If he's creating that much pressure going up against arguably the best side of an offensive line, which is the left side, and he's still a top 4 in the league in terms of creating pressure, why don't we swap him around and put him on the right side where we can go ahead and beat some of the weaker offensive linemen in the league? Again, like, that kind of stuff, it makes me wonder because Carl Lawson doesn't look slower to me. He doesn't seem like he's lost a step to me. And if he's still top 4 in the league and creating pressure, he's pushing the quarterbacks towards the right side because our right side is freaking eating. I don't know, man. Like, I see what you're saying, though. I definitely want to see his stack. I had him getting double-digit sacks this year. I did.
Mm-hmm.
I said if anyone's going to do it, Carl Lawson's going to get double-digit sacks. He's got one in 4 games.
Yeah, 1 or 2.
I mean, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's concerning to me too. But I just don't know if it's Carl Lawson or if it's the fact that, hey, we're gonna just keep you keep going up against left tackles and you create pressure.
They did that with the Bengals too, though. So, like, it's something that I thought about that I tried not to lean towards because when I went back and looked, the Bengals didn't really do a lot of shifting with him either.
Exactly, and not only that. Play to people's strengths. If it's not working out on that side, move him to the other side. And because if that's just going to keep causing problems for you, if you could switch them up, just like what they keep doing with everybody anyway, but they keep sticking with that. So it's like, okay, are you guys waiting for him to come alive? Are they waiting for him to break out? No. Lawson is like one of your highest paid players on defense. If you can switch him up and get his strengths out of it, then I'm perfectly okay. I wouldn't be saying any of this. But Lawson should be, like, continue to grow and be up there. Maybe it's a mentality thing. Maybe they have too much confidence in him not to move him because they keep moving people on offensive line maybe. I don't know. But I think they need to play to his strengths and switch it up just a little.
He's arguably the most game-wrecking defensive edge we have. He is, right? Like, in terms of, I think, the most polished, people think I'm crazy. I think Jermaine Johnson is probably our most polished because this dude can not only set the run, stop the run, he can also get after the quarterback. I think he's probably our most polished defensive end. But our freaking game wrecker is Carl Lawson. Why aren't we moving this dude around? The Steelers moved TJ Watt all over the freaking place. And he freaking feast, right? Aaron Donald, feet. Like, these guys freaking Von Miller, feet. So why aren't we getting creative on the defensive side? Like, and I get it, we're very stubborn in how our defensive scheme works. and it's like we're going to do this and we're going to just stick to it. But it's one of those things where like your game-wrecking defensive end, edge rusher, and Carl Lawson, who's mad and is trying to prove to the world he belongs. Give that man a bone, man. Throw him on the right side so we can face against the second or third best freaking tackle or offensive lineman on the team. Because the left tackle, we all know this, predominantly is usually going to be your best offensive lineman. And he's and even going up against those guys, he's he's creating pressure, the fourth most highest pressure rate in the NFL. Use your weapons, man, intelligently, man. That's why it's chess, not checkers. And sometimes that's why I have so many questions about Ulbrich.
Me too.
Because that to me is something so simple. Like we're thinking about it, and it's not just us. Other people have said it. It seems so simple. Why the hell aren't we? Why is our defensive coordinator not processing that? I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me.
And not only that, I see all these other guys on defensive end, like with the Bosa brothers, the Watt brothers. They move them 24/7. Even Von Miller. I think I've seen them do circles at least like 5 to 7 times. Like
nonstop.
If you can't do that with Lawson, then what are you doing? I think they have so much faith in him on that side, but also I think they're trying to get JJ maybe more, Jacob Martin maybe even more, or
it's possible.
But
you got to think after.
Sorry.
Right.
But also, like, maybe was it even necessary to bring in Jacob Martin if you were going to draft Clemens and JJ? I mean, we can say that about our tight ends. We won't get into that now. But but I think we need to move them around. You see other teams doing it. Why can't us?
But I think you made a very good point, right? If they thought they weren't going to draft edge in the first round, I think we all know that now. They weren't. Yeah. Because
I knew that.
I don't know about y'all, but my mock draft had us going Sauce Gardner, number 4. Had us going freaking JJ, number 10. When we went with Garrett Wilson, I was like, gosh, all right, well, then that's it. We're not going edge in this draft unless it's going to be a flyer on somebody with potential and upside. And JJ falling to the pick 26. I mean, thank the football gods, because I don't know how the heck that happened. But originally, we now know they weren't intending on picking an edge in the first round. The only reason we got to see it live. We got to see it live on freaking One Jets Drive. The only reason they came back into the first, they're like, oh snap, JJ has dropped, and we've got the capital to move up and get this kid. That's the reason why they got him, man. And I think that's why they brought Jacob Martin in, right? But again, Jacob Martin, who had high pressure rate, was arguably the best defensive player in Houston last year. I got to see him firsthand living in Houston. We haven't seen. He's been very, very quiet thus far, and that's surprising to me. Very. Is he underrated or was he overrated? Maybe it's because out here in Houston, he was the only person that could get to the quarterback. But that would mean most offenses were preparing for him. So it's again up in the air. I don't know why we're not seeing more of him to at least get a better idea of is he legit or if he's not.
And was he underrated? I think he was underrated coming into the Jets, but now seeing him more and more.
I got
OTAs, training
camp, I can see that.
And even preseason games. It's like, okay, maybe we're not seeing fans. Fans. It's like, are we? Is everyone else seeing something that we're not? You know what I mean?
That's a good point. Ulbrich is a huge question mark for me, and not in the negative sense per se. I consider Jeff Ulbrich to be somewhat of a blank slate, right? Obviously, Gino, me and you talked about this. He wasn't even Robert Saleh's first pick for his defensive coordinator. Nope. That's a huge factor to me because now you're playing, you're playing audible with what your plan A was, and thank God. This is another huge thing that I think can't be said enough about Robert Saleh. He's the ultimate audible guy. When plan A goes to hell, he has plan B, C, D, E, and F figured out, and he sells it to us like it's a pot of gold.
And we're all like, finally.
Generally, we're going to buy into it. And if not, we at least have the faith and support that maybe he'll figure it out. Right. So that's a huge thing for me. But with Jeff Ulbrich, I consider him a blank slate. I think he's a guy that Robert Saleh can mold to be a great defensive coordinator. I don't consider him one right now. There's a few questions I have with Atlanta. He had one great season, but he had pieces that we didn't have in place. He had a Deion Jones. He had Keanu Neal on the back end patrolling. And I forget the other guy, but they had another underrated safety that I like. So I question if he feels like he has some of the pieces from a coverage aspect to run his defense. And then the other part is he said earlier, like during preseason and stuff too, in terms of his defense, he keeps it relatively simple. So that's why when we had like the miscommunication stuff, that was concerning to me. Yeah. It makes me feel like he's playing checkers and not chess, right? But if you're going 100%. To play checkers, I can get on board with that if the philosophy is going to be, I'll let you know how we're running our defense all day long, but we got the guys that you can't stop. Figure out how to stop me, and then I'll move up to chess, right? So if it's not coming from that standpoint and your creative chess game isn't quite there, we have pieces that you can dominate with. We have a defensive line that should be top 3. Linebacker core, okay, that's a weakness, but you have some pieces there that can shift the needle a little bit. Juan Alexander, I think, was a revelation for us last week. I think he needs to be the de facto starter and then let Quinton Williams kind of work his way up, right? I'm even willing to say let's start trying to bump up Jamie Sherwood snaps a little bit, because even when he's on the field, you can see that he's kind of holding things down a bit from that communication standpoint.
Move Huff.
And then on the safety end, facts. On the safety end, I love our safeties, to keep it 100. Joyner, I think, was struggling through a rough 3 weeks. So I still don't know what he is. I think if we see a little bit of a backtrack in performance, maybe he's a guy that was closer to needing to walk out and actually take that retirement. I still think he could be that LaMarcus Joyner from the Rams, which is what got me excited. So I don't want to discard him. LaMarcus Joyner on the Rams was arguably one of the top 3 safeties in the NFL at free safety. And then Jordan Whitehead, I love. The only arguments I have with him is that I feel like he gets played out a lot because he has to end up playing this kind of mid-deep field coverage. He's kind of getting these free safety snaps, and that's not what his game bag is. I do think he can cover to a certain standpoint, but he doesn't need to be patrolling the field. He needs to be at the line of scrimmage where he's almost like a little Troy Polamalu. If you go back and watch the highlights, his pre-snap recognition and how he can get off on the line on people, ridiculous. We need to let him get back to that. So we'll see. I'm giving Jeff Ulbrich to at least the bye week, and then I'll make some hard, definitive decisions on him. But we'll see. Hopefully this bounce back game with how the defense played is really kind of the true defense that we have this season, and not necessarily a one-off situation.
Hey Banks, are you talking about Rishi Grant from Falcons?
Yeah, I think he was. He was a little bit undersized, but he ran like a 4.5 or something, right?
Yeah.
You're
talking about, yeah, that's what you're talking about, Richie Grant. Yeah,
I think the biggest question mark in all actuality right now, man, is we've seen this defensive scheme work. Like right now, like no kidding, right now, the same scheme we're trying to implement. In the top 5 defenses in the league, 4 of them are running our scheme. 4 of them. Mm-hmm. And for me, I'm like, and if you look at the teams running it, you're like, all right, we got more talent than this. We got more talent than that. And it makes me really fall back to where I'm like, well, we got the talent part across the defensive line. The linebackers are serviceable. Our defensive backs are shut down. Our safety group, I would say, is arguably the weakest component, which in this particular scheme could be very, very costly.
Yeah.
But if you look at the guys who are running the scheme, man, and they're in the top freaking 5, they don't have a defense full of Pro Bowlers doing it.
Right.
So that's where I get so frustrated, because I'm like, the scheme works. The scheme obviously works. And you said it perfectly. Oh yeah, I simplify the freaking scheme so that way it's simple. How is it simple if we're having miscommunications that's costing us points? Not a first down or whatever. No, points, easy touchdowns. How simple can it be? And I don't know, man. I think, again, like you said, we can't jump the gun. Ulbrich still has, like you said, I think at least the bye week makes a lot of sense. What I am telling you, saying is this though. Looking at our schedule up until the freaking bye week.
Yeah.
Whereas originally I had thought we were gonna be like maybe 500. At best, I was hoping and praying for 500.
Right.
we have a legitimate chance right now to win 3 of the next 4.
Facts.
Like 3 of the next 4, I'm looking at them. I'm like, oh, we could beat this team. We could be. Oh, damn. And like the biggest question mark is even if Zach Wilson is playing at half capacity, there's so many weapons around him, man. We're gonna score points. Like we're gonna score points. The biggest question is, can our defense perform to the level that we all thought they were going to be the heart and soul of the team? Can they perform to that level to keep our offense in it, even if Zach Wilson's having a bad day?
Yeah,
that's the biggest question.
I think we all thought, okay, I take this from the standpoint of being like a 90s baby, right? So like I've talked about it a few times before, when we came up, defense was the calling card for us, right? And then we actually had some pretty good offenses, but for the most part, when the New York Jets have had success, we've known it as a defensive team. So I think a lot of us had this expectation with Robert Saleh coming in immediately that it was going to, turn from a 32 to a number 1 ranked defense overnight. And I'm not saying that even need to be the case. I think a lot of us, worst case scenario, had like top 10 defense, right? We're expecting significant changes. And I think a lot of people were accustomed to Todd Bowles, which did this to a much lesser degree than Rex Ryan, but like a Rex Ryan and a Todd Bowles, where they were heavily invested in defense. They wanted to know what was going on at all times. They had an extreme hand in development. Whereas Robert Saleh plays the CEO hat, and he doesn't stray away from what he feels like is the best way to handle his team. Not a position, not a player, not a coach, the team, and what that looks like for the long term. So one of the things that I put out there as well, and I kind of want to run through some of these comments real quick, though, is if Jeff Ulbrich does end up struggling, we don't see this defense end up having either consistent play or they take a back, fall from grace. Do we need to have Robert Saleh actually step in and call some plays and manage this defense more to end the season?
I'll say yes. Look, listen. We hired this man because, yes, he has a CEO mentality, but because he also led, I think, in the last 3 years, 2 top 5 defenses, and then the last one's a top 10 defense. Like, you were brought in because of your freaking defensive acumen. Like, we weren't expecting him to come in here and call offensive plays. We weren't expecting him to come in here to go ahead and coach up the offense. He brought in LaFleur to do that, and we were all excited about it because we love that freaking that Shanahan style offense. Love it. So at some point or another, man, like I get it. As a CEO, the leader of the entire organization, it is your job to oversee everything and make sure everything is firing on all cylinders. But as a leader, when somebody is faltering or not meeting expectations, it's your job to do one of 2 things. Boom. Hey, big dog, check it out. This is the defense I want to run. It's not working right. Your play calling sucks, or whatever the case might be. Here's how I would do it. Let me give you some counseling, some leadership, some motivation, some training as to how I want it done. And if it's not working, all right, dog, check it out. Step to the side. This is how it's done. You show it. You become the proof source. We have the horses to go ahead and run this defense, and you show it to them. One of 2 things are going to happen. If that individual is an alpha type individual, he's going to take that information, run with it, get better. Because as a grown man, I'm going to be damned if you're going to sit here and take my department, run it more efficiently when this is supposed to be my bread and butter. And if it's possible because you're showing it to me, I'm going to go ahead and show you, you know what? Thank you for the tips. I'm going to do it better. If Ulbrich is not an alpha type personality, why is he freaking leading the most alpha type group on our roster? We've got some dogs on that defense. You need to be a dog too. Like, if you can't do it, very well, like, resign, bro. Like, go away. Yeah. But Coach Ulbrich Coach Saleh has to go ahead and do one of those 2 things, man. Like, you brought him in, you vouched for him. We as the fan base are believing in you as the boss. All right, boss, the guy you brought in sucks. Either you train him up and teach him how to do it right, or you go ahead and show him how it's supposed to be done. Either he steps up or he steps out. Those are the only 2 options.
Ooh, I feel it. Hot take. Gino.
Well, I'm gonna speak about that, but I'm gonna talk about Joyner real quick, and then I'll talk about that. So Joyner, I saw Joyner up close with the Rams. I worked for the Rams for 10 years. 2 of those were volunteering, and Joyner was one of the best, along with EJ Gaines. It was amazing to see those players play at their natural positions. But then when Joyner kept flopping around, they had him more play at corner, and I was excited when he came to the Jets and they were going to put him back. I know he had that injury history. I know that, but I was just really shocked that he didn't develop. But I understand, with Lawson, he didn't do the same thing. He got injured. Wilson got injured. Joyner got injured. We had a lot of injuries. So that's why if he continues to do what he's doing on that safety, come from last week, and he just needs time, then, man, I'm all for having the old Rams Joyner back. But also, what Gunny was saying, Saleh is a defense coach. He even had a couple rough years before he got his defense to elite. So it's one of those things where if that's going to take some time, maybe next year it's elite. But we have one of the most expensive defenses in the National Football League. If we can't get it done now, because some of these guys, you never know, they might leave next year. I'm not saying what if or now, but Juan Alexander, you bring in your boys. Your boys are here for you. Some of them are here because of your connections, even beyond that, and they want to play for you. Take over the defense, put the mind back, and let's just get it done. Let's get it done.
Got you. I love the takes. There's a couple comments in here I want to run through real quick before we keep it pushing. Motor Marine mentioned, we had it up here for a minute. Gunny, hey gentlemen, great stream, some dogs on the same show. That's awesome. We appreciate the love. Moto.
Hey, what up, Dev?
EVH, he had a question in here. Jet situation on those defenses rotating. I didn't know top defenses were doing that, and then he wanted.
That's because they're not.
Yeah.
100%. Great question, EVH. The answer is you're right. They're not. Those top individuals are keeping their best players on the field, running our same scheme, and they're winning. They're winning. I think one of the things that is kind of dismissed in the thought process of rotating is this. A good portion of those battles in those trenches is finding opportunities to take advantage of tendencies of your opponent. You don't get those same tendencies when those guys are getting tired or getting off. Because if you're off the field on the sideline catching your breath, you can't see that one time you could have gone ahead and caught a read on, okay, boom, they're leading a little bit forward more so. They're tired, or it's a run play, or they're going to go ahead and lean back. It's a pass. You don't get those tendencies to be able to repetitive enough. As much as it is about strength and technique, rhythm is important in the trenches. Taking your guys out when they're getting into a rhythmic pace to go ahead and realize, okay, I'm going to do the same move over and over and over again. And when this fool thinks I'm going to do the same exact thing next, I'm going to go ahead and change it up on him. And it's a swipe move now. And I'm getting to the back. You take away the opportunity for them to set up the offensive line for success. So to answer your question, ZVH, no, they're not. The guys who are doing this at a high level that right now are in the top 5 defenses are not swapping their freaking guys out. They're keeping those guys in because, hey, best players play. That's the NFL. That's what it's supposed to be. So I understand the concept of keeping everybody fresh. I do. It makes sense. It does make sense in theory. But when you're talking about the trenches, it's literally like a battle of inches. Like it's a matter of how can I take advantage of the weakness that I'm seeing from my opponent or the event. So if you take those guys out, man, the rhythm gets thrown off, man. And I understand the logic. I'm not a fan of it. I'm just not a fan of it.
Go ahead, Jenny.
And also the chemistry. It disturbs the chemistry.
Facts, man. Facts.
The chemistry it only lasts so much, and it only lasts small. You keep them coming, and the chemistry is going to be great. It's just like with the offensive line. Chemistry is the key, and they want to go to battle.
You know what?
It's the trenches. Like defensive versus offensive linemen. Like in all actuality, those are the boys who don't get a lot of love, but are battling it out. Like that get the most respect because, like, man, they're literally throwing their bodies at one another, like going 100 miles a minute. They don't get no love because we're seeing the freaking the ball catcher or the runner, you know what I'm saying, make the big play, get the 10-yard gain. That offensive lineman don't get no love for freaking knocking out the individual. We see it now. Now we get to see it like because of the All-22 film on the back end. And we're like, oh, damn, look at that pancake highlight. We can appreciate it now. But in games, ain't nobody rooting for that great block the freaking offensive tackle just made. That left guard really open. No one cares. But those guys are consistent, and that chemistry is so key, man. That's why I think our guys are not getting into the backfield as much as they should, because they are the number one paid defensive line in the NFL. Number one paid.
And chemistry is going to be very key going down the line. You can't disrupt that chemistry. If we're on a hot take and we're winning all kinds of games, if you disrupt that, we're screwed. The St. Louis Cardinals in baseball are proven for that. I know it's baseball, but it's true. It's true.
And I got a question. Why is it so important for offensive linemen to go ahead and get several reps together and not be disturbed?
Facts. Hey,
chemistry. How the hell does it not apply to the defensive line? That makes no sense to me.
I do think it's different. There's a significant difference in it because generally the offensive line, the starting unit will play together an entire game. That's not the case with the defensive linemen. That's a fact. But I do think it more so relies on what you were mentioning earlier, right? There is the whole pace. There's the mental psychology point of it, right?
Yes.
I like Michael Clemens' comments to relate it to what you were mentioning. If I keep punching a guy in the mouth all the game, what's he going to do to stop me in the third, fourth quarter, right?
Put his hands up.
And you wear a guy down. It's no different than
body's exposed, bro.
Yeah, it's no different than running Derrick Henry down defense's throats all day. Like, he's not to say he's not elite, but he's not the same running back if you only gave him 15 carries a game.
No, he's not. 100% he's not.
And injuries.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. That's a lot of what we could probably take away for the defensive line. The explosive. I think that's probably the best way to put whatever happens with this defense. It sounded great in theory. In practice, is probably not the best way to implement it.
It's not.
That's wild.
I mean, it is though, because when they first said it, at first I was like, I was like, oh, that's genius. Keep them fresh legs. They're gonna be able to keep going 100 miles a minute, like nonstop. But then when you start seeing it's not being effective, you're like, why is it not working? And I sat there and I'm like, well, probably the same reason why we don't fucking swap out offensive linemen. They need to gel. They need to mesh during the freak. And then you start to realize, like, wait a minute, defensive linemen are setting up these O linemen for that next move. You know what? On the next freaking third down play, I'm going to hit them with this because I've been doing this freaking this much. If they're not out there to do that, man, like, it just, I don't know, man. I think it takes away from the chess piece of those guys in the trenches battling it out. You take away from the chess component because they could be setting them up. Not everybody's a Quinton Williams that doesn't care. He's going to just toss whoever it is out of the way and then try to get to the backfield. Some individuals need to play chess to go ahead and beat these other grown men who are also strong and also fast at the NFL level.
Yeah, there's a reason why we say, we got technicians, we got, freak athletes, the combination. Yeah, so I got
monsters.
One last rumor that came up, right?
Okay, what's good?
And this one it goes back to Quinton. It was pretty crazy. Do we think that with the Jets knowing that their contract talks are going to come up pretty, more intensely, that this rotation was a way to limit and, based on the performance we're seeing now, Quinton Williams' impact and what those contract demands will look like? Because imagine he's like top 5.
He is.
Like all the major stats. Imagine if he had 15 more snaps a game.
Bro, he's gonna be. I think he's battling Aaron Donald in terms of effectiveness,
motivation.
Yes,
and But the thing is this though, like we're in the perfect position right now with so much youth to pay a guy like Quinton Williams. You know what? You want $25 million a year, bro? Here you go. Here, we want you on the team. The cap is only going to keep going up, and we're in the very, very unique position to have 2, 3, 4, 5 of our stars right now that could impact the game on 5-year contracts if we wanted that 5th-year option because they're first rounders. We can afford to splurge on you know what, Q, we love you, bro. You're a savage. You're a different breed. Here you go. Here's your $25 million, 30, whatever you want. Here it is. Because ultimately, we don't have to worry about the contract situation really for our roster for 3 more years. 3 more years is when we got to start freaking out like, oh, crap. We got to start figuring out who we're going to keep and who we're going to lose. We're in that perfect position right now, man. We can afford to splurge. That's why we wanted to go ahead and give Tyreek Hill freaking $30 million a year to come be a receiver.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Now it's taxes.
He decided. He's like, look, you made an adult decision. You made an adult decision and went to to Florida. But I'm happy he did because Garrett Wilson, I think, has a higher ceiling than a Tyreek Hill. Right? And people think I'm crazy when I say that. Tyreek Hill is a very one-dimensional guy. He's a burner.
He's all drama.
Yes,
he's all
he's
drama.
fast.
He's all drama, bro.
But you know what else though? Speed don't last.
Nope.
At some point or another, it's going to
Deshaun Jackson
hits.
fell off a cliff, yo.
Exactly.
Oh,
DK, I was about to say it. You my man. Yo, Deshaun Jackson was known for being a burner in the NFL. And then one day, he just showed up on the field, and we didn't know where'd he go. Where's Deshaun Jackson? And Tyreek Hill is in the same boat, man. Like, he's known as the fastest wide receiver in the NFL. All right, you want to give that man $30 million a year? Cool. He's 27, 28?
Yeah, I think 28, right?
Yeah, man. Speed only goes down as you get older. You don't get faster as you get older. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's
It's
the
all about
biggest
smartness
thing.
now.
He might be a different
Exactly.
animal too, though, because he has that like crazy elite different speed. Like, just
See?
jump onto an Olympic track and probably do well. I don't think his speed falls off a cliff per se. I think maybe he stays in like that average. Oh, you're just a fast guy.
But with what he's known for, will that be enough for him to still
If
be worth
anything,
$30 million a year?
A lot of people don't give him credit for he's shifty in a way that almost Garrett Wilson is. I was watching his highlights from last week, and that man tried to do like a back juke and then stepped into a step and was almost gone. And the only reason that wasn't a touchdown was because the guy got like a shoelace tackle on him. So I give him a little bit more credit than just the speed component because he has some kind of freaky, different looking moves he puts on people too. But at some point, by 30, I see him just like going to the wayside,
man. Yeah,
and like you don't have the quarterback that's going to help you make up. Maybe
no.
Who was a little bit of a revelation this season, but he's not going to give you a Patrick Mahomes.
No, he's not. I'm glad you brought that up. No, he's not. So Tua has done the exact same thing Tua has always done. The simple fact is this. Nobody was respecting Tua's ability to throw deep and utilize those weapons until they played the Bills. The Bills threw that game away, bro. They shut him down the first 3 quarters of that game. Shut him down. And then same with the Ravens. Shut him down. I'm like, what are you guys doing, man? Like, y'all decide y'all going to just come off the brakes. But if you watch those games, Tua right now, man, still has the same average behind arm he's always had. The only difference was he's got an elite weapon in Tyreek Hill. And I give so much credit to Coach McDaniel because all he's done is maximize the weaknesses to where, like, look, man, you don't got the strongest arms, so we're going to time these routes just right. And he's creating opportunities for those guys to get open, middle of the field, or down the field. But if you've noticed, when Tua holds onto the ball a little bit too long, he's not getting the ball to those guys.
It's behind.
It's behind him every time. So Tua is still Tua. It's just Coach McDaniel, man, bro, I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know why freaking Coach Saleh didn't bring him to New York. Because I'm like,
well, remember, he was still on the contract. He had that year.
So was LaFleur. They were both in the contract. The thing was this. The one he chose, the only way that he couldn't take them is if that other person got to become the OC. Because one was the running back coach, one was the wide receivers. Didn't
Mike get blocked for an interview, though? Wasn't that the reason? Because he didn't go with anybody, didn't he?
Who?
No.
Mike McDaniel didn't make the rounds last season. I thought he got blocked
because he was offered the opportunity to become an offensive coordinator. I really believe he was given that opportunity before LaFleur because they knew when Saleh left, Saleh was going to go ahead and get him. Now, the way it works is if your current team offers you, so the only way a team can pull you is if you're going to offer them a higher position. But once they made him the OC, then Coach Saleh he's like, well, I can't make him my head coach. That's my job. So like he could only do an equal. That's how they were able to make sure they kept him. We should have known then. That was telling. I mean, again, LaFleur's been great. I'm not knocking LaFleur, but in terms of how McDaniel has made Tua look like a Pro Bowl quarterback in the first freaking 4, bruh, that is as magician as it gets. It don't get more magical because the thing of the matter is this: Tua at the end of the day, Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle are still way too much horsepower for him to be able to go ahead and fully operate. You gave freaking Tua the keys to a freaking two Lamborghinis, and this dude is probably good for a Fiat. You know what I'm saying? Like you give him a Fiat, that's more his comfort zone, and like he's driving this thing. But those guys have made him look so good, man. And again, he's making the throws. He's making those timing throws. So I'm gonna give credit where credit's due. Tua is a more advanced Kirk Cousins because now he has two weapons.
I gave him Alex Smith when I was talking to Gino.
That's the same concept. Game manager. The only difference is he has two elite playmakers in Waddle and Hill. And Coach McDaniel, man, I'm sorry, bro. The stuff he's done to make those guys' weaknesses look like they're non-existent is purely magical. That guy's the new Houdini of the NFL. I'm telling you, bro.
But at the same time, like Tua, just like what he did in college. You know, I'm an Alabama fan. They put pieces around him no matter what, and Saban worked at his strengths on anything. So it's like what McDaniel's doing. McDaniel even reached out to Nick Saban and was like, "How can I utilize Tua?" And that's what they did. They brought in Waddle. You know, that's his boy from college. And then even with Tyreek Hill, you have two good running backs now. You got a good tight end, and that's what she's like great about it. We're surrounding Zach Wilson, right, with a great team, and that's what the Dolphins have been doing, and it's working out so far. I think it's great.
But I'll tell you this: if y'all watch the Cincinnati Bengals game, they gave us the blueprint.
Yeah,
Cincinnati gave us the blueprint. Everybody's like, "Oh man, he got hurt. We lost that game." Before he got hurt, Tua wasn't doing nothing, bro. Like Tua was not balling out. He wasn't showing us those freaking beautiful bombs he was doing against Baltimore, who's freaking didn't respect them, and they were playing freaking man to man and doing the cover zero. Like once you put a safety over the top, and you had to make Tua hold on to the ball just a little bit longer, he could not reach those wide receivers to save his life.
He's not a good quarterback that can target the boundaries when stuff like that happens.
No.
Everything for him has to be, I don't want to say has to be, but generally it's going to be a clean, open look or
90%.
Something under. Yeah.
90% of the time has to be a clean, open look or a timing route that allows him to understand, like, if he gets ahead of me, I'm not catching him. But if I throw it now before he gets to the catch point, I have a chance. And I think, again, I give all the props to McDaniel, man, coaching him up, because there's a reason why the organization was trying to replace him with freaking Deshaun Watson and Tom Brady and risk all of that, because they're like, all right, this guy's limited. And let's be honest, the Miami Dolphins have a roster right now that should be competing for the AFC East Championship.
Facts.
They should be competing for the AFC East Championship. But they have Tua, which is their freaking bottleneck. He's the bottleneck of that entire organization. And I love it. Bro, he is. And I love that the Dolphins fans think he's so amazing, because I'm like, yeah, I hope y'all keep preaching and want to keep him. Please, because that means we still got a chance. As long as y'all believe Tua's the guy and y'all are going to be screaming at the rafters so they keep him, okay, great. Keep him. I want you to keep him, because ultimately we're looking at Kirk Cousins, Jimmy Garoppolo. Those guys don't win Super Bowls. They barely make it through the playoffs. I would like to keep Tua at the helm.
It's tough to hear, but I agree. Unless he becomes some Tom Brady-esque, I know I don't have the physical points, but I'm going to absolutely destroy you mentally. And I don't say he doesn't. I don't want to say he doesn't have that in the chamber, but I don't see it. I'm definitely in the same situation as you.
You can never know, because some people develop differently, right? Like Tom Brady didn't have the strongest arm either, but man, that guy had a high IQ.
Yeah,
he maximized everything that the God-given gifts he had. Mentally, he maximized. You're right. That's the scary part, because what Tua does have, he does have a really quick release whenever he decides, you know what, I'm going to go there. I want to say it's one of the top 5 fastest releases in the NFL. He also is very accurate.
Yeah.
Scary accurate in the intermediate to short routes. And when you have a guy like that understands the timing of routes and being able to utilize and maximize yak weapons like a Tyreek Hill, like a Gesicki, that can be terrifying.
That lineup,
I'm just hoping.
That lineup looks dangerous. If you put that on paper against a lot of teams, they're going to be
It's scary, bro.
Just don't get Lamar Jackson. Just so they don't get Lamar Jackson. But you know what?
That's also a big fear.
Yeah,
you know what?
I heard about that.
Yeah. It'd be really funny. What if they replace Tua with Cousins or Jimmy Garoppolo?
They won't.
I know they won't.
Yeah, I couldn't see it.
Mike McDaniel. I think Mike McDaniel knows better. What we should be scared of is Lamar Jackson not being under contract with the Ravens. That terrifies me. You brought that up, and I was like, "That's."
I don't see him leaving. But if Lamar was to come to Miami, I will have a lot of sighs, a lot of question marks, and some sleepless nights coming because that's easily going to be the best offense you could throw him into.
Yep.
And man has everything he already wanted and then some.
Bruh. If Lamar comes to Miami, we're now fighting to not be in. It's between us and the Patriots. Who's going to be third in the freaking division? And that's terrifying. But I can also say this though. Honestly, the Buffalo Bills have a very, very narrow window to go ahead and take advantage of the talent that they do have. They're due for some big contracts in the next couple of years. The biggest component we have right now to worry in terms of longevity in the AFC East is the Dolphins. The Dolphins are in the same boat as us, where like they can afford to splurge on a Tyreek Hill.
Right.
If Zach Wilson is him, if Zach Wilson is him, is the guy. Right, I'm telling you, we have the ability to run away with the division because of the youth movement. The Buffalo Bills got 2 years, maximum 3 before they can't afford. They cannot afford the contracts on their roster, and that to me it's exciting to know there's a limit, there's a cap to where they can achieve.
You don't think they'll start trying to pull a Saints move?
You know what, the Saints, man, I still don't get how they did it, bro. Like, I don't understand how they manipulated the cap so well. But at some point or another, I think Josh Allen's going to want to get paid.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's a competitor, but you've got to pay that man.
That man's probably looking at a Mahomes contract.
Facts. And Drew Brees, I think Drew Brees for him, it was more so about the fact he was pissed off what the San Diego Chargers did. Mm-hmm. He wanted to go ahead and prove a point. To him, it was more about pride than money. He was the Tom Brady of the NFC. You know what? Right. I'm not worried about money. I want to win freaking like Super Bowls. So,
and he extended that window for a long time.
Exactly. That's why they were able to go ahead and play the game so long. I don't see that in Josh Allen, man. Like, Josh Allen is somebody who he's a cocky, arrogant, confident, and he deservingly so individual. And I think he wants to see his name as the top paid quarterback in the NFL.
I would too. I remember them scouting reports that came out his rookie season.
There you go. That's exactly why I would want it. As a grown man, everybody's telling me I wasn't going to amount to this because I was inaccurate coming out of freaking Buffalo. I think that's going to be his validation.
I remember
Josh Allen is so scary.
I remember his rookie season when it got, I don't want to even say so bad, but the disrespect was crazy. They started relaying some of the errant throws that man was tossing to who's the boy that we had picked in the second round?
Goddamn.
Wait. Are you talking about that
from Penn State? From Penn State, right?
Penn State,
right?
From Penn State.
It's right there. Hold on.
I know. I can see his freaking face right now.
I see his face. I'm looking right now.
Penn State quarterback, man. Huge. This is
Christian Hackenberg.
Hackenberg.
Yeah. They were relating it to him. You remember? Y'all remember when Christian Hackenberg threw a rocket, but it didn't go to the receiver and almost knocked out like a camera person or it was like a beat fighter at the time or something like that?
Yeah, I remember that.
Wow.
Man, I didn't even want. Man,
Christian Hackenberg was such a wasted pick. When I look back at that second round,
he was a waste.
It brings tears to my eyes.
But we've had a lot of waste, man. Like
we did.
Before Joe Douglas, that was like our mantra. It was like, hey, let's go ahead and waste the draft pick on somebody that's either injury prone or didn't show us anything like enough at the collegiate level that shows he can translate to the professional level. Bro, I don't know what the hell we were doing, man. But you know what's crazy though? Every single one of us as Jets fans, we held strong. And no matter how bad we didn't agree with the draft, we were like, you know what? Maybe they know something we don't know. And usually they didn't know something we didn't know. Right. It's so great to be on the other side of it, bro, because Joe Douglas is that real GM. I'm a big component of it. Let's give that man a 10-year contract. I don't want him going anywhere, bro.
Yo, get this man a lifetime discount.
A lifetime discount. Look, whatever you want, you got it.
Life parking passes.
Get you that senior discount.
Lifetime suite access. Like, bro.
My Joe man, Douglas, you want Woody Johnson's seat. Like,
you got it. It's yours.
Here.
we the people have spoken, and it's yours.
Facts. We had some stuff in here in the comments. I know I'm definitely not going, but A Mitch asked, is anybody else going to the game on Sunday?
No, I'm from St. Louis. I can't.
I'm in Texas, brother.
Yeah, I figured not, but I throw it out there in case there's a surprise.
We got to answer that. I mean, I plan on going to another game. I just don't know when it's going to be, but it definitely isn't this Sunday.
Facts. Yeah, we man, I probably give it another year or two before the boys are set enough to where I can fly out and hit like a home opening game or something.
Roll out. I feel it.
Yeah. Let's see. GVH on the other side of the ball. How did the Jets attack the Miami defense? They don't cover deep well, but we don't give Zach much time. Help our coaches out. How would you do it? Gino, you want to jump on this one first?
Jump on side. How the Jets attack Miami defense? They don't cover deep. Honestly, you gotta get the tight. You gotta get tight ends and the slot receivers. You gotta hit them. And I know he's capable of throwing the long balls to Corey Davis and Garrett Wilson, but if you could do the middle passes and get Barrios more involved and the tight ends more involved, I think we're going to be just fine because of all the injuries that's happening to Miami right now. And that's gonna work in our favor if whatever happens on Sunday when we get that injury report. But we keep pounding the ball, keep pounding it to Hall and Carter, especially in that red zone. That's what I think.
So the Miami Dolphins run that cover zero blitz religiously, right? So they prefer
huge pressure defense.
Huge pressure defense, which means they leave their DBs on an island, right? Man-to-man coverage. Now, I don't know if y'all saw this, but the statistics right now is the number one wide receiver in the NFL that has a winning percentage in routes ran against man-to-man coverage, Garrett Wilson. 54% of the time, man-to-man coverage, Garrett is smoke checking.
And I think Elijah Moore was not too far behind him, wasn't he?
Number 8 is Elijah Moore at 48%, right? So, and oddly enough, Tyler Conklin was 41%, something like that, like freaking, I think 7 spots behind Elijah Moore. So the man-to-man piece is going to make or break these guys. If they stick to that defensive game plan, and if I just don't see how they can. They've got too many injuries in the backfield. They don't have those elite corners to go ahead and be able to make their defense work. They have to change it up. If they don't change it up, our wide receivers are going to party. And Zach Wilson doesn't need time. Just identify the slant route coming in, boom, hitting them. The man-to-man coverage scheme, no one can hang with our wide receivers that they currently have. Of course, now, if their DBs are playing, which they didn't practice again today, which is good for us. Mm-hmm. They're going to have their second and third string cornerbacks out there.
Yeah.
So my game plan is, if I'm the coach, hey, Zach, we just need the 2 seconds. Either Elijah, Corey, the Conklin, or Wilson is going to be open. Just decide who you want to go to. The slant route will make it a lot easier because then you can target the middle of the field. Because they do bring their linebackers up to try and assist in run protection whenever they're blitzing. So behind the linebackers, man, there's no safety help. Like, they put themselves in a really bad position in that cover zero blitz. And I think the average time to get to the quarterback right now for them that they're not generating a lot of sacks, a lot of pressures. It's 2.5 to that 3-second window. Yeah. And Zach Wilson excels once he identifies the play he wants to go with and can release in under 2.5 seconds. It's disgusting what his stat rate looks like. So I would make them pay for, if they're going to stick with the cover zero blitz and they put their DBs on man-to-man, you feed Garrett Wilson, you feed Elijah Moore. I put them into slant routes all day until they decide, like, we've got to figure out a different defensive scheme to stop these guys. Because those guys are going to beat their matchups, especially against second and third stringers.
Yeah, this was going to be the breakout game for me with Elijah Moore, right? So he is the leader in the NFL in untargeted routes.
Routes.
How many yards he's covered in the field, right? The man's almost covered 2K yards. And
1,800 yards, bro. Like, come on.
That man has run enough to already hit high school touchdowns. Like, yo,
high school stuff, bro.
It's crazy. It is. Imagine if he got hit on half of those. The man would already have double-digit touchdowns. So for me, it's the same vein, right? I've seen the statistics for Zach with where he's had the most success and how long it's taken him to get the ball out of his hands. This would be the game where I would say scripting plays would work the best, since we already know it's unlikely they change that defense. Mike McDaniel is kind of playing the Robert Saleh role, but he does cater to his offense. So the defense leaving their people on the island, this is where we should be attacking the middle of the field religiously. I love slants. Love them, absolutely. But this is also
beautiful routes.
Exactly. And we got the guys that can kill it every time.
Yes.
So we hit them with slant routes, and then this would be where a lot of those stacked concepts should be able to get run to perfection. Line up Garrett Wilson and Elijah Moore and Tyler Conklin off to the right, put Corey Davis off to the left, switch it up, however you want to do it. But I also love the stack concept there, because then it opens up things like a dig route. It's going to open up comebacks where they think we're going deep and we break it off on a 15-yard catch and we can take it back upfield. So I think staying away from the boundaries will probably be key for us this game. And I'll call it. I will probably say we see Elijah Moore go crazy and get I think we might hit double-digit 100-yard wide receivers. I'm that confident in this game. I think Garrett Wilson and Elijah Moore go stupid.
Do you know what's crazy? I think it's going to be Elijah and Corey. I think it's going to be Elijah and Corey.
That's why.
The reason why is Garrett Wilson is put on notice, bro. He has identified himself as, all right, this dude makes people look stupid as a rookie. And come on, you're a veteran, bro. You're not having that. Ain't no vet trying to get a little dumb like a rookie. I think Corey Davis and Elijah Moore take advantage of the fact that if any assistance is going to be placed to help out the DBs, it's going to be on Garrett Wilson's side.
Yeah. And also, sorry.
All right, go ahead.
No, and also with Barrios, we all know LaFleur loves to do those trick plays, and Barrios is perfect for that. They're not going to see that coming. If you get Barrios in there, especially in the red zone, they're not going to. Not only are they not going to see that coming, it's nice to see, because that's what LaFleur loves to do. He likes to trick them. He likes to trick them. If you're going to guard Garrett Wilson all the time, everyone should implode. You're not going to guard Conklin. They're not going to guard Barrios because that's the odd man's out. That's a beautiful thing. They don't have enough people,
bro.
Yeah,
nobody in the NFL.
Nobody does.
They said this. Crazy. Elijah Moore and them said that in the beginning. Nobody in the NFL should be able to cover this entire
all our guys. Bro, you know what's crazy? Like, you hear it, and of course we're Jets fans, so we're all hyped, and we all like, oh my god, like this is great. And until you see it, right? Like, if you're a logical Jets fan, like we are, we want to go ahead and watch tape and kind of like make sure we. Like, I believed in the training camp and preseason, like, man, who's gonna guard all of our guys? But the logical part of me was just like, it's the NFL. There's gotta be a way. But then if you've watched the last 4 games, that I love that freaking all 22 access, bro. I love it. The amount of times Conklin gets open, Moore gets open. There's always 2 out of our 4 guys, whether it's Conklin, Wilson, Moore, or Barrios. No, not Barrios.
Corey Davis.
Wilson, Moore. Corey Davis. Yeah. Corey Davis.
Corey Davis.
I kid you not. If you watch the tape, if those 4 are on the field, 2 of them always get open. 2, and it's like clockwork. You just got to figure out which one it is. Can't nobody in the NFL cover all these guys, bro. And then
I think the best part about having Zach back too with that is Joe Flacco and Gino. You were mentioning this with Liam the other day. He was targeting people quite a bit when he found that person he loved. He's
going back. Yep.
Zach Wilson's been pretty good so far about being able to pick out when somebody starts getting coverage rolled to them. I'm going to start flexing somebody else on the roster.
5 receivers, bro, in his debut got touches, got catches. 5 different receivers. Joe Flacco topped off at 4.
Yep.
Over 4 freaking games. 4 of them. Man, it's you don't, as a Jets fan, you don't think this happens to us. It doesn't happen to us. Right. But do y'all know that Corey Davis right now is top 5 in the NFL in most receptions outside of 15 yards? He's got 10 of them.
Because of Zach Wilson. Because that's his boy. All throughout training camp and OTAs. That's one of them.
Well, he's got 10. That also was Joe Flacco, because he didn't get 10 in one game. But did y'all see the people that were on that roster.
That list is stupid.
It's wide receiver ones across the NFL, bro. You're talking about CeeDee Lamb, Jamar Chase, Tyreek Hill. I'm like, this is our wide receiver three, and he's in the top 10.
I think he's still over, what is he, 18.3 yards a catch?
A catch, that's correct.
Yep.
That, bro,
the dude's ridiculous. It didn't hit me until they said, I can't remember who else they compared it to, but I think it was Chris Olave. It was like a crazy rookie or something. He has something like yards a catch, and they were like, this is like absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not gonna lie to you, man. Chris Olave is balling out right now. And
man,
I'm sick.
He's disgusting, bro. I'm like, man, and so again, of course, I'm a little salty, and I thought to myself, all right, yeah, I had him graded higher than Garrett Wilson originally, but I still think Garrett Wilson has a higher ceiling because of his pure violence and his route running. Because Chris Olave probably had the cleanest, most crispest routes to be ran out of all the freaking this rookie draft class. But as a Jets fan, I'm just salty that he's doing better than our guy. That's just how I am.
For now.
I go back. For now. Exactly. For now. That's not to mention, he's really the only target that they do have as well. I mean, Thomas has been hurt the last 2 games. Easy for you to stack up freaking yardage and whatnot when you're the guy. You're who the ball has to come to. Alvin Kamara, he just decided he wasn't going to play football.
Yeah, I was going to say, that man's taking a vacation.
Like something. He didn't realize the season started. So that's also a big thing we got to incorporate is that. But I still had to go back and watch the tape. Bro, that dude runs route so crisp that he's making the likes of Jameis Winston look like Drew Brees. Purely based off of anticipation. The pure confidence and faith that, you know what, I'm going to just throw it there because he's supposed to be there.
Yeah, you know he's going to trust this man.
Yeah, bro. So Olave right now, man, he's putting in work. And credit where credit is due. He's still doing it against NFL talent. But he's also the only person on that roster putting in work. I think Corey Davis being up there with him is more impressive when you take into consideration, like, bro, you're wide receiver 3. 100%. You're the third option. How are you here right now?
100%. I think I might end up having to wrap up a little earlier than I expected. Let me see. Yeah, I think she need me to grab something for one of the boys. But man, I guess parting words from anybody before we
well, we got the game on. What are our predictions? What are we thinking about the game on Sunday?
I'll start 30.
Ahead.
I think it's gonna be a back and forth game. I still think Teddy Bridgewater, if he whoever weapons he has, it's just gonna be interesting. So I think for me, I think the Jets still win though, 30-25.
This was my game of like crazy predictions, but I had this not only being like a 200-yard wide receiver game. I think this was where we pieced everything together. I think I called a blowout for the Broncos game, or not the Broncos, excuse me, but a blowout last week against the who the hell we play? Why am I drawing a blank?
Steelers. The Steelers.
There we go. Yeah, I think I caught it like 30-15 or something like that, Gino. I don't remember. But
you did. Yeah.
I think it's something crazy this game. Like I see Zach Wilson maybe tossing 4 picks. I see Breece Hall and Carter probably getting a touchdown apiece. So I'm thinking like 42-27, something like that.
Ooh. All
I
right.
think it might be one of the highest scoring games of the week.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah.
I can see it, but
I can see it.
But it's just the Jets and Dolphins. You just never know. It's a
we
rivalry
play each other
game.
different, bro. Yeah.
It's a rivalry. It's a rivalry game. The sparks are always flying. You never know who's going to come up huge.
So I'm going to say this first and foremost. GVH, great comment, man. Elijah took Howard to lunch last year, and cornerback has not been well this year. 100%. Elijah Moore's breakout game last year, like we've been talking about, was against the Dolphins last year. And he made, like, Howard, a Pro Bowl freaking cornerback, look silly. Like, he put him on skates. We've got 2 Elijah Moores on this team this year, and Garrett Wilson and of course Elijah Moore. And Corey Davis coming in, he's healthy. Just listen, I'll tell you this. So I originally predicted the Jets were going to go ahead and win against the Baltimore Ravens, and we lost. I got. My bad, y'all. I don't know if y'all hear that, but I got.
Yeah, it sounds like a parrot. Sounds like a parrot.
It's one of those child abduction joints. Some child got abducted in
oh damn,
Midland, Texas. Yeah, it's kind of hopefully it's something crazy. But all right, so I predicted the Jets were going to win Week 1 against the Ravens. They lost. I predicted they're going to lose against the Browns. They won. I then predicted they were going to win against the Bengals. They lost. Then I predicted they're going to lose against the Steelers. They won. So I'm not superstitious. I'm superstitious. What I'm going to say is, as much as I believe that our offense is going to be a nightmare for this defense, as much as I believe that our defense that we just saw against the Pittsburgh Steelers might actually be realistically what we're supposed to be seeing from these guys moving forward, I'm going to still predict a 24-21 loss for the New York Jets.
Hey,
I'm going to predict that. It's going to be a one-possession game. One-possession game. The New York Jets lose by a field goal. And I think a lot of it falls to what you just said, DK. I think Zach Wilson is going to come out, and there was some stuff that I just saw, man, watching the game. As much as he crushed it in the fourth quarter, in the second and third quarter, man, like he's still struggling with like the easy out routes, like the 5-yard passes, the 7-yard. And to me, I still believe it's just his excitement is just at an all-time high when he sees it. His eyes get wide, and he's a kid still, man. He's a kid in the game right now, and his eyes get big, and so because of that, I'm going to predict for me doing my part as a Jets fanatic, since I'm seeing that historically speaking, my last predictions have resulted in opposites. The Miami Dolphins will win this game 24-21. I believe it's a one-possession game. And yeah, I mean, sadly, we lose the game. Wink, wink.
And also, we have not been good at home. We're good on the road.
This is true.
And it's one of those things where we always come alive away. But home, we haven't been able to do it this year. And the Jets keep it interesting until the last 7 minutes of the game. Then it's anybody's game.
I'll put it like this, because I think that's a good point. We got smacked the last 10 to 12. Salah's very in tune with this.
Yep.
The preseason call out was we've been getting our asses smacked by this division
in the AFC East
for 2 years. Yeah. That shit fucking ends today.
Stops now.
I'm all for it. That's the quote that I'm going with to end the night and how Sunday is going to kick off for us. I think we absolutely fry up some Dolphins. We try some new mammal.
We having sushi. We having sushi on Sunday, boys.
Yes, tuna bar.
Drop that mic.
Get some California rolls popping.
Drop that.
And we're going to make some Dolphin fans extremely mad Sunday.
Let's do it. I'm down.
Just a caveat off that. If the Jets win on Sunday and the Steelers decide to have an upset win against the Buffalo Bills,
I'm going to lose my shit.
Yo,
we're number one in the AFC. No, we're number one.
It puts
we'll be number one. We'll be the only team
I thought
a divisional loss.
The division tiebreak.
Nope, they have a divisional loss against the Miami Dolphins. And if we beat the Dolphins, they would have a divisional loss against us. We would be number one. It'd be us, Miami, Buffalo, and then freaking the Patriots.
Fire.
Just saying.
It is.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Hey.
Any given Sunday, baby.
It's the reason for this being your guys' flight crew for the night on Thursdays. Because we're going to give you the real. We're going to give you some positivity and some facts out there.
Yeah.
I'm all for it. Hey, let me find out by Monday morning that we're number one in our division.
Twitter's broken. I'm calling it right now. If the Jets win on Sunday, it's already going to be broken. But if the Jets win on Sunday and the Bills lose, man, Twitter's going to have to go ahead and pop up the backup servers, start freaking pushing through some more of that coolant to keep their servers going.
With the receipts.
What we got? Stephen A. Smith. We got Brady Quinn. We
got some calls to make.
Andrew.
We got some calls to make.
You know. I'm sorry. I need my glasses.
My man. All right, boys.
Oh man.
Everybody that was peeping, it's been a pleasure. You know, definitely tell all your friends, tell your family. I don't care if they're haters, if they are Jet supporters. It's dope seeing all the comments and questions that are in here for sure. Hopefully we find a way to get this extended. We got some more interesting things that'll be coming in the weeks that pursue this for sure. But as I mentioned, you'll definitely find the links to us in the description. I don't know if there's any other play. You know, I'm not the big social media guy, but I don't know if you guys want to throw out any Instagrams, Twitters, anything like that they can find you.
Yeah, most definitely, bro. Like you can find me on Snapchat, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and of course YouTube at New York Jets Situation Report. If you want to go ahead and just type in New York Jets _ rep, you'll see me there as well. I want to give a shout out to GVH for some great questions today, man. We appreciate you, man, participating today with the stream. Mitch, appreciate you as well. Unfortunately, we won't be there on Sunday, man. So if you're there for us, we need you to go ahead and yell a little louder for us on our behalf as well. But great stream, boys. Like, this was freaking awesome. I can't wait to do this every Thursday night. This is going to be great.
Guys, always a pleasure. Glad me and Banks thought is coming alive. Gunny, we love you, man. I mean, I've been knowing you for a long time. And also, it's like with us three's connection, it's like we know each other for like 10 years. It's great.
Kismet.
It's great.
Kismet, bro. Yep.
I've never picked up into a full project with anybody else, and it felt like I've been doing it for a minute.
Same here. Like, it's just a natural chemistry, natural kismet. Like, it just works.
But you can follow me at Italy Gen, all social media platforms, everything NYJ. I got happy hours on Thursday nights. I got post-game shows. We're everywhere. This is what we do. This is what we love to do. Just see us every Thursday.
Just so y'all know, this raggedy behind game between the Broncos and the Colts is tied at 9. It's about to go into overtime. This is so we're gonna beat the Broncos. We're gonna beat the Broncos, bro. There's no way we don't beat the Broncos.
Heavy-handed. It's a backhand.
It's gonna be bad. It's gonna be embarrassingly bad. Yep.
I hope so.
100%. If you guys are still sticking with us this far, much love for one. 2, if y'all can do us a favor, this might be one of the early gifts you guys can give us while we try to wrap up the year with this. If we can make Jets Flight Squad a thing, I would love, and I'm not a social media dude, I would love to randomly see like that pop up on Twitter or even the YouTube space, Instagram, whatever the case is. That'll be dope. But we definitely look forward to bringing a lot more of this to you guys.
Amen. Let's do it. I already started it.
Already. Hashtag. I like that. I like that a lot.
Got it.
All right, boys, I'm going to bounce out of here. Thanks, everybody. Once again, I will catch up with you guys on the back end.
And as always, go Jets.
Yes, sir.
Yes, baby. Jets.
Have a good night, gentlemen.
All right, boys.